It's funny that creationists don't even realize that they really don't have a problem with the theory of evolution by natural selection. Micro and macro evolution both work on this theory. What they have a problem with is the theory of common descent, which is made possible by the theory of evolution, but it is not Darwin's original theory. Of course, they lump Big Bang cosmology and abiogenesis into evolution, so it is to be expected. The complex understandings required to grasp the science involved requires a lot of research and a lot of work. Humanity, and especially modern Western civilization, is based on the division of labor. We can't know everything, and when we specialize at things, we can come up with new and better ways to do our jobs. Scientists spent their life learning their specialty. Most fields of study aren't even questioned. But if someone finds the science inconvenient to their preformed beliefs, then all hell breaks loose, and they doubt anything the experts have to say. For example, let's take the modern auto mechanic. Back in the day, anyone could be a mechanic if they had enough practice, time, and mentoring. You could even self-teach. Since then, cars have gotten more computerized, fuel-efficient, and complicated, and things like the catalytic converter and changing the AC coolant requires special certifications to ensure the environmental safety. A mechanic these days requires 2 years of schooling, lots of practice, and constant study on new vehicles and new certifications. The transfer from the do-it-yourself mechanic is being eroded as systems become much more integrated and too complicated for the average person to fix without messing something up. Now imagine that someone came up to a garage mechanic and told them that not combustion, but fairies made the car run, and things like changing the oil and filling up the tank were rituals to appease the fairies. What if this person had been raised all their life believing this and had an ancient book saying that the only way a large object could move was by fairy magic? Combustion engine theory was just a theory and not based on any proof. Or even better, they had taken a basic maintenance class, and from that class, they had determined that a car was run on fairy power. The garage mechanic would look at them dumbfounded, then, after getting over the shock, would probably call them a moron, then ignore the person. The mechanic has seen all the mechanisms for combustion theory. He has seen each part and has seen how they work together. He has seen each piece of the combustion theory in action and knows the math to back it up. The fairy activist has read a book or taken some introductory classes. Now imagine that this person begins telling people not to change their brake pads, that it was unhealthy and unnatural. Just do some rituals and the fairies will help you stop. Mechanics would be up in arms about that, and rightfully so. These fairy activists would most likely use the tactic of telling people that they are being persecuted by mechanics. They both have equal amounts of faith, and they both have equal validity. They would point out that there are mechanics who will try and rip you off, and that they can't diagnose the problem correctly, sometimes, to spread doubt about the basics of how your car works. Now let's contrast this with science and medicine. A mechanic has 2 years of school with experience, while a scientist has 4, 6, 8, or even 12 years of study. They have seen the mechanisms that make their field work, to the point that it becomes second nature. When a science denialist tries to tell them they are wrong, it's either God done it, or don't vaccinate, or the planet isn't warming by CO2, the scientist will look at them like they're a moron, and it's very hard to explain to them why they're wrong without basically teaching them the same stuff they have learned. That's called college. That costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time and dedication. Attacking someone as an elitist is a way to try and discredit someone with this kind of dedication and knowledge, making it appear that the expert is belittling people who don't know their field, and it works on the general public. It has been found that people with higher educations are less likely to feel threatened or belittled when they don't know something. This is because they have an understanding wide enough to grasp the massive amount of information they could never learn even if they lived to be 1,000,000. Sadly, humans have egos based on power, and knowledge is power. Some people would prefer to make something up and argue it to the death than admit to being wrong because they think it shows weakness. When they have to rely on someone else, it makes them feel helpless. They haven't grasped that reliance and specialization is what makes us strong as a species. Even I get a twinge of jealousy or inadequacy when my girlfriend speaks with authority on archaeology or the earth sciences. It kind of makes me feel helpless. The other day she pointed out at the clouds on the horizon and said, "There's a storm coming." My first reaction in my mind was to say, "There's no way you can tell that. Stop making stuff up." However, she has demonstrated very well that she can see weather patterns that I was completely unaware of. I'm sure it's no different than visually identifying traits of bacteria in a microscope, but it still made me feel helpless and blind because she knew something I didn't. I'm the one she comes to for science and questions. It's weird to feel the tables reversed. And this is me being aware of my own nervousness about trust, and also having a vast amount of knowledge in classes under my belt. Just imagine how the average Joe who is not self-aware feels when a person with letters behind their names tells him something he doesn't want to hear. This is especially true in men because admitting you are wrong in America is the ultimate sign of having a vagina as a man. Being tough and standing for things has been pressed on males of our population as being more important than being right. When we can educate people so they know their specialty and have self-esteem from it, but at the same time admit they don't know something, maybe then people will stop trying to spread the word that fairies make their cars run.